There we go. Got 2 viewers already. 1 engagement. Yep. So I would like to just wait 2 minutes for a few more people to get viewing. That's free. Type in the chat if you wish. 1 engagement, 1 share. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to put the share on Patrick's page. It's the In-Spiritation. Brilliant. Share away if you want, guys. That'd be appreciated. Right, and we'll make a start, I think, as soon as I... Yep, that's 8 people. Right, we'll start from here then. So I'd like to introduce everyone to Lyn Boyd, a well-known, experienced, I would say medium, and she's developed over the years. She's been across to many different continents, countries. She's got a lot of spiritual background and life philosophy, from the nourishment of helping others and the expression of love she's given to the world. And I'd like to take over to her, and I'd just like to say hi, Charlie, as well. Thank you for coming. So I want to just ask the first question to you, Lyn. When did your first spiritual experiences start?
The first one that I remember was when I was very, very young. And at the time, I didn't realize that it was a spirit that I was seeing, because we, as a very young child, they had brought out these little walkie-talkie dolls. Well, they were quite big, and you held them by the hand, and they walked like that, right? And I wanted one so badly, and that's all I would think about, was having one of these dolls. And so one night I was sleeping, and I opened my eyes, and at the side of the bed was this little lighted doll standing beside my bed. And of course, with me laying on my side and this little doll, we were eye to eye. Like, I opened my eyes and there was her face right in front of me. So I thought it was a walkie-talkie doll that had come to life and was standing beside my bed. So I screamed, and my mom came running into the bedroom, and I said, "There's a walkie-talkie doll." As I screamed, though, she started to go back, and I could have sworn she walked behind the closet. And so my mom had to look for this doll and reassure me that the doll was not there. There was nothing there. But it was so vivid. This little girl was so, now I realize it was a little girl spirit, but because I could see, I remember seeing the light around her and everything. So that was my first experience that I can remember.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of experiences with imaginary friends. Did you ever have the experience of having an imaginary friend while you was younger with what would probably be
Um,
spirit?
I don't recall ever having an imaginary friend. I,
Yeah,
no, I don't remember that at all.
yeah. Well, so when was your first time you entered, let's say, a spiritualist church? Where does that take you back to? What age was you when you walked
So
in?
that was when I was about 11 years old.
Wow, young.
And my mom took me. Now I don't know if they'd even allow 11-year-olds into a spiritualist church, but my mom took me. And I don't even know how my mom knew about it. Like, she never ever told me how she knew about spiritualist churches even. But my mom was a very spiritual, religious person. She liked religion and that. And when I think back now, she was really on a search, same as I was when I was growing up. But she said to me, and I don't know why she picked on me, because I had a sister and I had a brother, but it was me. She said, "Come with me to this church." And I went like, okay. So the two of us went to this church, and it was in the city hall in the city there where I lived. And the city hall is like a big cement building, very old. And we walked in the side door, and we walked down the corridor, and we walked downstairs, and we walked around the corner, and it was like underground chambers. And so we ended up in this room, and it was so funny because I remember sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, these people are so old. And my mom and I were the youngest people there. So, and my mom was old to me. So, and I got a message in the church that night too. The lady said to me, she pointed her finger at me and she said, I'm coming to you. And there's this lady, and she's telling me about this lady. And when she was talking to me, I could see this photograph of this lady. And so I knew exactly who she was talking about. But when we left the church, my mom said to me, who is that lady that she was talking about? And I said, I don't know what her name is, but I know you have a photograph of her at home. Just have to wait for Carl to come back.
Yep, that's just me losing my connection. For some reason. I don't know why. Don't worry about it. But so was this church in South Africa?
Yeah.
Right.
But we never did find the picture of the lady. But now I realize I never ever saw a photograph of her. I was seeing her clairvoyantly when this lady was talking to me.
So it was like a visual in your mind. So have you ever seen like spirit physically, like in your eyes, or is it like a sense that they're there from your experiences?
Carl, you're breaking up, so I couldn't hear what you said.
Right. I was going to ask, have you ever seen spirit like before your eyes ever in your lifetime?
I still couldn't hear what you said.
Right, I think it's just the technical difficulties I'm having at the moment. I'm not sure why now. How is the connection now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Right. I just want to welcome Barry and Heidi into the chat. I'm sorry about the connection issues. It seems to be going a bit weird at the moment for some reason. This is the first time it's ever happened, to be honest.
I know.
Yeah, well, it must just be the strong energies. I was going to ask Lyn, like, have you ever had an experience where spirit has presented themselves in a silhouette to you, or have you been on any investigations and you've seen spirit just like walk past or make noises or?
I see that all the time, and I see I hear noises. I can see silhouettes. I've actually seen spirit, like I'm looking at you now, like as if I could touch them. So I've seen like very different very different visions I've seen.
And you know, when was it when you moved to England and started your spiritual journey, or if we can start along the line on where you started your spiritual journey, when was your heart calling you? When did you say, "This is the belief I want to do. This is where my heart's leading me, and I need to follow it"? When did this like all come to fruition for you?
I don't know that I can pinpoint any one time. I know that I believe that I came with the understanding of where I was going to end up. It was just trying to find my way there, to know that that's exactly where I needed to be. Because growing up, we were, for myself, I belonged to different churches, looking for something that was going to answer all my questions. And even very young, I had questions. So I went to different churches trying to find that. My mom was the same though. She was also on that quest. And I remember she used to, in those days, back when I was still living in South Africa and young, we had the religious people, like the churches would come and knock on your door, and want to come in and give you a presentation on their church. And my mom religiously let everybody come into the house. Anybody who knocked on the door came into our house. So we were always all on this, this quest to find out where we belonged. But I think when I first came to Canada and my children were small, was really when I started to believe that there was something more to what I wanted to believe, and not just like what was written in books and stuff. So when my children were really, really small, I read a book, and that book was the one that really made me decide that this is the path that I want to go on. So it was quite earth-shattering reading this book and realizing that all the things that I tried to believe in before were just things that happened, but it was nothing substantial for my soul.
Yeah, I can relate to that. There's sometimes you have a calling to certain things and other things you don't. And that's just the ounce of knowledge that we all agree to when we walk this life. I just want to say hi to the more people in the chat. We've got Patrick, lovely Patrick, Heidi, and Barry. And then that's Charlie, who said 9 minutes ago. I want to ask, though, when you came to like England and you started doing the spiritualist churches there from South Africa, how did you meet and how did you grow? Where did you find mentorship? How did it come? Did it just come to you, or did you keep seeking and seeking and seeking? What would you tell to the people who are in that state where they're wanting to grow and learn from others' experiences?
So I didn't go to England. I came to Canada from South Africa. So
Okay.
so that's where I started seriously attending a spiritualist church. And I'm not even sure how I found out about this. I think at the time my parents both passed, and I'm not even sure. I can't remember how I got to the spiritualist church, but I got there, and it was just like going home. It was like, oh, this is where I belong. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to be. And I just attended the churches to start off with, and then the lady who was the reverend in the church at the time, she had a development circle. So I joined the development circle and I sat with her. And I guess I've never really left the spiritualist movement ever since then.
It's been like phases, different phases, and it's like you've always
Yeah.
been part of it. But yeah, so how long, like, what was your experiences in these development circles? Did you find it helped usher your spirituality more, or?
Yeah. And the development circles at the time, I don't know what they like in England, and I have never really attended a true circle here in Canada either. But the circles in those days were not like the circles you get on Zoom now. They were totally different, and the we would in the development circles were allowed to develop whatever gifts we had. Some gifts were different. Some people were healers, and some people were mediums, and some people were just there to lend their energies. So, but it was very disciplined. It was very structured, and we were always told that you had an appointment with spirit when you went to sit in a circle. It was closed as well. They only allowed a certain number of people in. So it wasn't like you can come and go whenever you wanted to. And you were told that you have an appointment with spirit, you arrive on time, you come clean, you come well dressed, and ready to work with spirit. So, and the door was locked, so nobody could come in, and very, very, very disciplined. I still, when I go to church on Sundays, even if it's on Zoom, I try to make sure I'm looking okay. And because I respect spirits, I want to respect them.
So, do you find that this disciplined nature is actually beneficial to our service to spirit?
I think so. I think that you build up a respect for one another.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing is respect the people that come forward to help you, and you need to show respect because and be there ready, be willing to blend the energies.
Yeah. I just want to welcome Katie, Sue. Well, Chris is not staying, but hi, Chris. Mo and Daphne, thank you for coming. If you would like to share or follow the page, that'd be great. Because I've got it on protected system, so you got to follow the page for 15 minutes before commenting, just so I don't get spammers. But so, what is your experiences with spiritual guides or slash helpers? Like, when did your spiritual helper? What was the sensing when this one came forward?
I've been really lucky to get to know a few of my guides. And the first one was in one of the development circles when I first arrived in Canada. And he showed himself to me. And he's actually a man from Africa. So and I guess we walked life together in Africa as well. And he's from the Maasai tribe. And the Maasai nowadays are very tall and very thin, but he comes from way back when the Maasai were still very big people. So he is a big, big man, but he works on the healing vibration, and he was the first one that I saw. And it, he's been part of my life and my children's life for many years, because every time they got sick, I would say, well, you go and ask Umbalinga to help you and make you better. So my kids grew up calling to Umbalinga for so, and I say it all to the kids, all the kids of my family. I just say, you speak to Umbalinga, he'll come and help you. So that's the first one that I met. So, and then another time, still sitting in that circle, and during the meditation, I had this huge, huge, big ankh put in front of me, and it was silver and it was shiny. And so I went out and I bought it because I had an Arab man step forward and I bought an ankh, and I wore this ankh around my neck for about 30 years, never came off my neck. And a couple of years back, it started to fall off the chain. And I thought, oh my gosh, my chain must have broken. I checked the chain, was still intact. The thing didn't, the loop on the ankh wasn't broken. So I put it back on the chain and I wore it for a couple of weeks and it fell off again. So I went to the jeweler and I said, this thing keeps falling off my chain. And they looked at it and they said, there's nothing wrong with it. So I don't know why that ankh kept falling off the chain, because it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. And now I don't want to lose it. I have it sitting on my dresser because I don't want to lose it. So I'm not sure if he's finished working with me and he's pulled back, and that's why I don't need it anymore. But I really like it. But I don't want to lose it, so I don't wear it anymore.
That's actually really interesting, because that's the first thought I would have suspected. Maybe he's pulled back, but it's like it's a mementos to that love and evolution you've had together. But it's with my belief that there's a lot of guides that do stay with us in our lifetime, so for when we're actually done. But I do believe we also have in and out guides that pop in and then do their own thing. But have you what sort of experience have you had in ways of blending with your guides? Have you ever felt any features of them, or have you had a vocal change or anything like that?
I have, but I've not had as many as I'd like to have. So I'm trying to work on that part, but I do every so often, without expecting it, when I'm saying something to people, I feel the words are just coming out, and I actually listen to myself talking. So I know that it's not coming from me, it's coming from spirit when they just come out. And then I can take a step back and go like, oh, that sounds pretty good, you know?
I can relate to that, honestly.
But of course, like the ego gets in the way and it goes like, I want more, I want more.
You know, I just want to thank Nace for coming onto the video and Patrick for sharing. Um, and I would like to ask now, so, you know, when you, like, what is your experiences with the old things? Like, let's talk about transfiguration, physical mediumship, you know, the things that you don't usually see as much today as what you had in the past. What would your experience be there to share with people, to the public who's not had the experience of trumpets and deporting and all that sort of stuff?
So the lady that was my mentor in the church, spiritualist church, when I first came here, she was a physical medium and she did transfigurations. And she had been sitting in a group to develop this, and I came at the end of it where like she was already developed by the time I got to sit with her. And so I attended a lot of the transfiguration. She used to have meetings and people would come and like a demonstration. So I sat with her for that because she needed energy to build up. So so I sat with quite a number of the transfigurations that she did. She had a guide that worked with her. His name is Parkinson, and he was her main guide that worked with her through the transfigurations. And it was always wonderful because at the end of each demonstration, he'd always take a little few minutes time out just to talk to me. And it was so exciting. I just like, oh my gosh, it just would be overwhelming. I'd be floating for days because Parkinson talked to me. And you know, I've had a couple of things happen as well. Like when I was very young, I had a boyfriend that we just started to connect with one another, and I mean, I was like 15 or 16, right? And he's going like, I love you, I want to marry you. But he was killed in a car accident just after we started going. So uh, so in South Africa at the time, the girls' schools and the boys' schools were separate. You didn't go to the same schools. And my brother was going to this boys' school. Now, this boy that was killed in the accident, he had attended that school. But when I met him, he had actually moved away from that school and was in a different school, like out of the city a bit. So he had been out of that school for about a year. When I met him, about 2 years after he passed, my brother came home and he said to me, look what I found. And he had like a dog tag sort of brass thing, and it had this boy's name engraved in this like dog tag thing. And I said to my brother, like, where did you find this? He said, on the grass in the playground of the school that this boy had been to 3 years prior to this, just found it laying on top of the grass. So I believe that that was put there for me from him. So, I mean, after 3 years, anybody could have found it, but my brother found it. So I believe that was a gift from spirit for me, from him.
So like a port then, the
Yeah.
object's been put into there for your brother to find and give to you. Wow. I've heard about experiences with ports, like, but like with rainwater coming in when there's no leaks in the roofs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But oh, Sue, thank you for posting on Universal Consciousness Group. If anyone has any questions they would like to ask to Lyn as well in the chat, feel free. So moving onwards, you know, with this transfiguration, what sort of features, what was the differences compared to how you would see the lady who was doing it and how the spirit came forward? What would be the eye-drawing changes when this transfiguration took place?
So the transfigurations I've seen lately are on Zoom. So it's really difficult to experience it fully. But when she would do them, she would have a black, like a black scarf on her head. So all that was visible was this part of her face. She had used to wear a black cape as well that covered her body completely. So the only thing you really saw of her was her face, and the face would. She'd always take a few minutes to put her head down and develop the energy, and then raise her head up, and then the face would take on the shape of whoever was coming through to talk to their loved ones. So it was just her face that would change, and you could see when it was an Oriental person, the eyes would actually
Wow.
go Oriental, and so you could see the different. Some of it was subtle, more subtle than other times, but I guess it depends on the energy of the spirit coming through too.
Yeah, and because it only takes really one skeptic or person blocking the energy to, like lower it down. So it's like you got to be fully blended and giving each other that energy for them to come forward in that way is how I've always been taught. So when what is your experiences with chakras and auras? Have you ever just looked at someone, you've sensed an aura around them or a chakra? What's you see inside yourself? What's your feelings with these areas?
Um, I haven't seen too many auras, but I have seen some, and it's not one of the things that's my strength, but I sense it more than I see it. And I do believe in the chakras. I do believe that we have, but I don't believe that when you clear one that is cleared, I think things happen and you can get mucky again. So I think it's a continuous process of keeping them, flowing and keeping them clear. But life happens, and things happen, and we go into ourselves, and I think then we cause our blockages and things like that. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would like to ask though, regarding religion, what is your um, key drawing? What is your opinion on religion as a whole? I personally just see it as service, and I think we have our own moralities in different parts, and there's slices of cake you can take, like Buddhism and Christianity. I think there's benefits in all types of religions. What's your thoughts on religion as a whole? What drawing do you have with it?
well, I think that all of us are in different levels of understanding and beliefs and stuff. And I think for each of us, a religion or a movement or something like that has what we're looking for. And it's not to say that what one person is looking for in one religion is wrong. It's what they need at that time and their growth and their understanding. And I think when they understand more, they'll move on to something else that suits and fits into their beliefs and makes them feel comfortable about what they're doing and what they believe in. I think it's a very personal,
Yeah.
and really and honestly, we all taking the same road to the same. We all taking different roads to the same place. So we need to respect the people on different roads to us, because
Yes.
that's their journey, and that's their beliefs, and that's what brings them comfort in their souls. So to take that away from them is wrong.
Yeah, I heard about a medium who would do messages from spirit in the past, and he started off as an atheist, but that's because spirit wanted him in that mindset before moving him to spiritualism. And I feel like what you just said is just pure wisdom, because it's these phases you go through, and it's just people on all these different paths, and it's their entitlement that faith is where you find it in the heart.
And you start to question yourself at different parts during your life too. And I know for myself, I was really, really young, and I had all these questions. My mom used to send us to church every Sunday, the three of us, my brother and my sister. She used to give us our collection to put in the collection plate. And on the way to church was a candy shop. So we used to stop at the candy shop. We made a pact. 2 of us bought candies and one person put their money in the collection plate. But I can remember sitting in the church, having, as small as I was, having questions about what I was listening to, because it just, I'm going like, well, why then? Why did this? Why do they say that? Why? And questioning very, very young. So, you know, when you have lots of questions, it's really not the right place, and you're not getting the answers. Then you need to look to somewhere where you can get the answers and you can feel, you know, that you're progressing.
Yeah. Well, you know, through your experiences, how would you advise people who doubt themselves, who are living in fear of expressing their spirituality to the people around them? Is there a stage in your life where you've just got to and you're just like, well, I just want to express what I believe in, and it's tough what others think? Or what's your opinions on this subject?
That's really tough too, because, you know, it's difficult because not even everybody in the same family believes in the same thing.
Yep.
And I spent a lot of time actually not following, and because at one point I had to, you know, I became a single parent and stuff, and I had to go and find a job. So I had put all of my um, spiritual work aside, but my spiritual work took a different direction. You know, in like palliative care and foster care and all that kind of stuff. So but I didn't realize how much I was using it at the time. But I would never have said to a social worker that came into my house to see a foster kid, "Oh yeah, spirit told me." I would never say that, right? But I mean, even your family. Um, there were things, you know, that like, oh, mom slipped her lid or something like that. Right? So I've really been very careful about not discussing with my family and really and honestly, like how I really truly believe, until recently. And it was only just recently, since I came to live in Vancouver Island, that I actually decided that this was it. I was going to develop and I was going to move forward in this direction. So, and I don't know, it just feels so right to me now that I really don't care anymore what anybody believes.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I have to do it, because it's what I'm being guided to do. And I really don't, it doesn't bother me anymore what people think.
Yeah, I've seen systems where the people's been critiqued just for saying we should use the word inner wisdom. It's like these textbooks and rationalizing the spirit within us is what's causing so much fear and constraint, because it's people losing their career goals and stuff. So when you were telling these intuition to the social worker, it makes sense where you wouldn't say it because you've
Yeah,
got that love for those who you're helping foster, but it's also like you need to be taken seriously by these people, even though you take it seriously.
yeah.
So when you started the foster care, was this like a drawing of an act of service to give to mankind? Like, did you feel it in your heart where you just was like, I need to help these children, I need to help them grow and nourish them in the way I was?
Um, you know, it's funny because I know a lot of people don't believe in past lives and that, but I was told that from a past life I was a caregiver and I didn't do it really great. So I had to come back and do it again. And so I started off looking after elderly people in their homes. I went and worked in a nursing home. I became a foster parent. I was a foster parent for about 25 years. And then I also at that time went back to school. I became a social worker. I did 10 years working for an AIDS agency as a volunteer. So I did a lot of palliative work, and the foster care was I can remember the day I decided to become a foster care person I can remember the day exactly, and I can remember what I was doing, but I won't tell you. I was smoking a cigarette when it came to me, and this voice came in my head and said, "Become a foster parent." And I went like, "Oh, okay, I'll become a foster parent." So I did. I became a foster parent, and I had many, 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 many kids in my house. And it was funny because I could always say to the social workers, this child needs this. This is what's happening. I didn't even know how I knew all of these things. I just knew that this is what this child needed. And
Tuition.
99% of the time I was right, So I had a fairly good reputation for being a foster parent too. So, so that was something that I was was probably hit on the head and told to do. So, yeah.
Part of the journey is learning those lessons. You know, when you was going through all these experiences, like, what was your feelings internally, like not externally, like because obviously you got people who are critiquing, but when you was internally going through these, what did you feel? Was it like, did you feel like it was your imagination, or did you feel like this is spirit? Have you always had that strength and that courage to say this is what spirit is and this is what they're giving me? Because a lot of people again come to those doubts.
Uh, at that, going through these things, I knew it was a higher calling of service. I didn't really at that time because I was so focused on surviving and making sure my kids had a home and a meal and stuff like that. That the focus was more on what I was doing to live rather than what I was doing to serve spirit. So, but 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 I know that spirit was a huge influence on everything that I did. And it seems funny, but I did, like, in the nursing home, I worked with elderly people, and I loved it. And they always got me to work on the units where people were in the process of passing, because for me to make that bed look nice that they were laying in, to make sure their hair was nice and their face was clean and they looked peaceful, was what made me happy. So, but I thought that was just me. But I realize now it was not just me. It was, it was what I had to do, and spirit was influencing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a question from Mo. She says, have you ever had a near-death experience?
I No, I have never had a near death. I did, and it's not probably what she's meaning. I did get onto a plane once and decided to get off, and the plane crashed and killed the people on board. So if that's a near death experience, but I know what she's talking about. She's talking about going through the tunnel and stuff, and that I have not experienced.
So that was like a close encounter, and it's like it wasn't your time, and it's like I feel like it's like karma is involved with a lot of these things. Like people are there at different times for karmic reasons, not because they're bad or good. It's like something that we just cannot understand, and that's probably why you was definitely led away from that vehicle. Um, but I do thank Mo for asking a question in the chat and for all the people who's continuing to watch the video. Um, moving onwards, when you was having these clear audience um, voices, is there any distinguishment of how you can tell it's spirit, like the speed, or is it the same, or what detail would you say that's spirit, or is it like a little light inside you that's like that's the intuition speaking?
Oh, I sometimes I can actually hear things, but that's not very often. But usually it's something that's said inside my head, like it comes from inside, and I actually hear it myself rather than think it. It's, it's hard to explain,
Yeah,
but it's
I
not
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to distinguish whether you're thinking it or feeling it or sensing it, but it's just like a louder boom, like a louder noise that you never thought was going to happen, but it happened suddenly. So you have to listen to it.
So, what is your intentions going forward on your spiritual path? Like, where do you see yourself in a few years' time, or do you just take things at the present?
I just have to go with spirit. That's all. I don't know where this is going to all end up. I know that it's not just a fun thing for me. This is very serious. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know where it's going to go. I
Nice.
know I'm.
Oh, sorry. Just continue.
You're going.
Oh.
Go,
Um,
go.
Nice asked, do you provide any services in the chat?
No, I don't.
Yeah, but that's where it comes back to taking things slow and
Yeah.
going in. And she also asked this: do you connect to spirit for? Okay, yeah. So yeah, she's actually that's what she was asking. Do you connect to spirit for clients?
No, I actually know Nace, so we sit in a group together. So Nace, I'm just like you, just learning and experiencing and hoping that I'm going to be led in the right direction.
Yeah,
And I know I will be. I just need to be able to listen and be patient.
yeah. So have you ever had any experiences with premonitions?
I have actually, and I don't like premonitions at all.
How come?
No, it was I the one that was most profound for me was I talked to my mom one day on the phone. It was Mother's Day, and I was here in Canada. She was in South Africa, and I phoned her on Mother's Day, and she said that she had to go into the hospital the next day. So I said, okay, well, let me know when you come out, and I'll give you a call. And I wished her happy Mother's Day, and I love you, Mom, and all that. And I put the phone down, and this horrible feeling came over me, like my mom is going to die. My mom is going to die. And it was horrible. It was a Sunday, and we had a full day. My daughter had a air cadet thing, sea cadet thing at the time. And so we spent all day with the sea cadet thing, and I was hurting because I had this horrible feeling. And 3 days later, my brother called and told me that my mom had passed. And it was devastating. It was horrible. It was the most horrible, horrible 3 or 4 days I had ever spent in my life. And I said, I don't want to ever experience this again. I don't want you to ever do this to me again. I don't want it. So I get little premonitions like, well, I don't think you should do that. Well, like that, but not big. I don't want them. I don't want them.
You didn't find it gave you closure, or is it like you felt that it hurt you more knowing it was going to happen rather
Yeah.
than having the shock on it being on that day? 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like different to everyone, isn't it, when they go through something like that? Because we all have these different forms of griefs. But I can relate to that. I feel like there's some people that seek all these answers and the doesn't phase them, but there's some that it's just a delicate thing because it's that love you have for them. But um, oh, oh, Mo's had a question. You have had many guides, so would you say they come at each different path you come to?
Um, my healing guide has been with me for a long time, so I'm not sure if he's my mainstay. Um, Other guides have come to me I know that there was a lady that was working with me when I was working with the elderly people, and I know she came to work with me with the elderly people. So I feel that she's gone. So I do feel that they step in when you're going through different periods in your life, because their strength is what you need at that time. So they help you through it, and help you learn the lessons and the wisdom that you need to learn when you're going through that period in your life. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm sure mine must be really sick and tired of me, like
I
hanging me
think we
on
all
the
have
head
those feelings.
like. But it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do with this woman? So maybe I'll have some more step in and now take on the challenge.
If you wind them up, they might get you back. That's what mine do. Do you feel what animal guides do you feel you've had? Have you ever had like animal that's attached itself to you and you feel its nature, its corresponding nature, like its strength, its cunningness, its pack-like love, or what sort of animal guide would you feel you've has presented itself?
I think the lion is with me a lot.
Just thought of lion.
Yeah, I think because I'm from Africa and my healing guide is, and apparently my healing guide was, and I'm not sure if it was him or me. I cannot remember the story, but him and I walked together in Africa, and one of us was actually killed by a lion, is what I'm told. So I really have a fondness for the African lion. Yeah.
Let's hope it's not the same lion then.
Yeah, I know. I hope I don't smell and taste as tasty as I did before.
It's interesting because there is those sayings that the guides that are placed with us in life, sometimes they have some sort of connection with you in the past lives, like brothers,
Yeah,
sisters, mothers, fathers, friends. It's like that love will continue onwards. So it's like I guess you'll remember everything when you see your helper take
yeah.
you to the next stage when it comes to fruition. So in regards to the Earth at its current times, what is your opinion on all these Zooms and spiritual activities? What's your thoughts on these current times spiritually? Because all the churches are mostly closed, but you've got all these new virtual ones opening.
Well, I think that is really great. But I think, to be successful and to really give people what they need. And I think all of these groups are giving people what they need. You know, the needs are different for everybody. I know when I first came here to the island, I really thought this was going to be a medium paradise, spiritual paradise. But it turned out there's a lot of mediums here on the island, but it's a very knitted, close um, community. So it was very difficult to find somewhere. And I thought it was going to be easy, really easy, but it wasn't. And so in my area where I live, we don't have any churches. We don't have spiritualist churches, but we've got one formed here on the island that is a spiritualist church, and it really follows the old spiritualist church ways. The service, it follows the old spiritualist ways. So I'm really thankful for that. Like that, because church is really important to me. So I'm really thankful for that. So I think everybody finds what they need from these Zoom. I think it's brought more attention to spiritualism as well, having Zoom
Agreed.
meetings. It's not so much like hidden behind the big door, and like don't talk about it sort of thing. People are very open in talking about it. Um, yeah, I think it's good. It has its drawbacks as well, but I think the majority of it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, you've got people that try corner spirituality in four walls when really it's in the hearts of all of us, and that's the most truest wisdom you can really express is coming from the heart and not from the constraints of brick, stone, stained glass windows. Mo has another question. So you believe you have been sent back to continue your learning?
Yeah, I know I have been sent back to do it because it was actually, I know past lives is a big thing that some people believe and some people don't believe. And I don't think that I came back as me. I don't think I was me like centuries ago. My soul was there, but I'm different now. Like my body and who I am is different, but my soul is the same. And I know that long time ago, I was told about a past life where I was a caregiver and I had to come back and do it again. And it really did. And she told me, it's a long story. Maybe Mo, I'll tell you the story one day, but I do believe that it is. I do believe, I know in that life, I really screwed up bad. And so I had to come back and do it and complete it. But of course, I went to the extreme, didn't I? I didn't only work with elderly people, and I worked with kids, and I worked with the dying, and I worked with the AIDS patients, and I worked. I did it. I did it. So I do believe that I have done that part of my soul work. I have done now.
Mo's just put a joke in. She's a modern day Mother Teresa. Absolute joy.
I've, and it's brought me so much. It has really brought me a lot of joy. The palliative work has been so rewarding. And I know people look at me and they think, how could you say that? Like you're working with people that are dying, but to be able to make that comfort for that person in their last hours, even or days, or it's an honor and such a privilege to be able to do that. Such a personal thing for somebody at that special time in their life. And I was actually in a room and I was turning the blinds in this lady's room and I knew when I walked in the room, she looked really peaceful. And I walked around the bed and I turned the blinds just to tweak the sunshine in her room. And I could feel behind me that she had just passed. I could feel it. I could feel her leaving. So to be part of that special time with somebody, it's it's God's gift. It's God's gift.
That's an interesting thing to talk about. What's your view on God? Like, not like what is the perception of God to you? Like, if you could, I know it's not definable, but I mean, closest thing.
Well, I think that and you're right. I think about the universe and us as little people on in this universe, and you think, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming to even think what God is. But we wouldn't be here without a God. And I'm saying God. It's whatever people think is their God is their God. They may not call it God, but they may call it something else. But we still all are in awe of that divine energy that's part of all of us, part of the whole universe.
Yeah.
So, and I do believe that this is how I look at it. When we're born and we this little soul of ours is that little chip from God. God said, here's a little piece of me, and I'm going to put it in you, and you can grow it. And I think that's what happens is we each have a little piece of that God in us, and it's up to us to grow it and nurture it, look after it, and tend the garden. And if we don't, we're just going to get the weeds.
Yeah.
So we have personal responsibility to do the best we can.
Yeah, and that's what freedom of will is, why it's so important. Many would not underestimate the freedom of will, but it's one of the biggest blessings we have to be able to thank each day that even if it's not beyond time and space, that each moment of existence and air we breathe and rotation, it's all thanks to like this godly being, this God, and that's why I have this personal faith in him. I mean, I don't treat the God as a Christian God, like all just love and light. I mean, I believe that it's in hatred and love, but like you said, it's tending that garden and you take the path that you see fit, but it's about learning everything as well.
Yeah.
But
God is in all of us, no matter what color, what religion. It's God is in all of us.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that, to be honest. So, what like with crystals? Let's just get final questions out because we're coming shortly to an end. What have you? Do you use crystals or?
Um, I've tried to use crystals, but the thing is with the crystals and me, I don't know what it is. I've been told, but I'm not sure. But the crystals have an effect on me where I just they just do something strange to me, and they make me fall over and go dizzy. And I love them. I love them. I'd love to wear crystal all the time around my neck, but I've tried that and I was like fainting or getting dizzy and falling over. And the doctor said I had vertigo, and I went like, I don't think I got vertigo. So I took the crystal off and I got better, you know? So I'm afraid to use crystals. I'll sit and I'll hold a crystal, like if I'm sitting in front of Zoom or something, I will hold. But I put it down and walk away afterwards because I can't. I tried different crystals as well to see maybe I'm wearing too strong ones. So I tried to wear a weak one, and it didn't work either. So I don't know what it is with me and crystals.
I should put on the packet caution, may cause spaghetti legs.
That's right. If your name is Lyn, keep away.
You know, we're coming to an end now. I do want to ask for the remaining viewers who's stuck by, and I want to thank you, and for all the people that shared. I'd also like to give notice tomorrow on the spiritual chat group on Thursdays. We may be casting it live, but due to the technical difficulties earlier, I'm not sure. So if it does come live tomorrow, please follow this page. And if you got any questions to if Spirit humbles us with trance, we don't know. Be sure to ask those questions in chat. Make sure that you follow this page though, because it has a protection of 15 minutes to prevent spam. And I do want to, and just want to give you the comment, Lyn. Patrick said, well done. He's stuck by in the video and watched us. But
Thank you. Thank you to everybody too for coming.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, you take care and we'll see you some other day. Thank you.
Thank you.